Good afternoon, friends and other people watching this video. I've made this video because a few people asked me if I could make a video of a talk that I did for the South African Institute of Architects, in fact, the Eastern Cape chapter. Very small gathering, actually, a few Fridays ago. So yeah, I'm just going to share these slides with you and talk to them. I hope perhaps it's of interest to some people. Let's see. So I'm recording this on Zoom, so I'm going to share my screen here, and I'll just run through some PowerPoint slides really. But what I was speaking about to my friends and colleagues at the South African Institute of Architects is this idea of Ikigai. So Ikigai is it's a Japanese word that I stumbled upon reasonably recently. And I've just been thinking a bit about my own life and my own experience with practice over this last while, because as I was reflecting to my friends and colleagues at this little talk, I've been working now as an architect for 30 years. It's 2023. And I started working as an architect in 1993 for Elwyn Harlock Jones and Andrew Treasure in a little office block near the Green Acres Shopping Center in our town. So I've been practicing for 30 years, and I'm actually quite enjoying practice and maybe just thinking out aloud about how it is that I have stayed sane, kind of, over the last 30 years of practice, and what it is that I would like to do to remain sane over the next 30 years of practice, because I think we're very fortunate as architects to have some kind of a tribe that we feel that we belong to, and that we feel that we can share. I mean, this is our tribe that we join each other with. And some of you watching this video will be part of this tribe, and others of you will be outside the tribe of architects that kind of fight with each other and they disagree with each other, but then support each other and are kind of there for each other. It's a very special thing. And this talk that I gave was as part of this tribal grouping, kind of standing together, perhaps against the challenges that we face. And but I'm talking more about the personal challenges that we face. So I think of this talk as a discussion about ennui. I think that's how the French say it, and how to perhaps avoid it with an attempt to locate the architect as a real, living, and breathing person at the center of a beautiful yet often cruel profession. Perhaps the talk is a wandering biographical narrative encountering and describing experiments in projects and ventures with varying degrees of success in achieving the elusive goal of getting what we want. Or perhaps a reflection on the childish arrogance of believing that anything we can possibly ever do could change the way things are in the world, and how relaxing into this realization may just make the world a better place. That's, I think, what the talk is about. But the talk is this is just me rambling through my average morning, rocking up at the office, driving into my little office in Richmond Hill, where I make it as cozy as I can to come into every day. And I stare out across the distance towards North End Lake and this beautiful stadium at the North End Lake, and remembering back 13 years ago or so to when we worked on that project as a constant reminder. Is that what my profession's about? Was that enjoyable? Did I enjoy working on that? Do I have any lasting memories that are pleasant or otherwise? But there it is in my face every morning. What do I think about what I have done with my life and with my profession? Anybody recognize this chap? Well, I can't do a hands up here, but this is our old chap, Imhotep. He was the first of our tribe of architects, African guy from Egypt, and he was the first person that I could find in my little search whose name is remembered as an architect, and is in fact immortalized in a little bronze sculpture. They did a whole bunch of stuff for some Egyptian pharaohs that I can't remember, but a significant name in our little tribe of architects, and but also this guy. This is probably somebody that has a bigger influence on the way we talk about our profession than Imhotep, who nobody remembers. This is a guy, Vitruvius. And why Vitruvius is important to us is because he took the effort to think and write about, in Roman times, Roman architecture, and codify and give some idea of what it is that we should be striving towards in our approach, a basic philosophy that he tried to distill and simplify, as philosophers, good philosophers, try to do, simplify. He said, in order for there to be a strong design, we need to have firmness, commodity, and delight. And out of that Venn diagram, strong design emerges in the center. And many people over the years have elaborated on this and broken down what firmness could mean and commodity, etc. And others have then compared what an architect does in this comparison of firmness, commodity, and delight to what an artist would do and an engineer would do. And then academics like my colleague Andrew Parfman, that spoke to a similar gathering just a few weeks before. Academics are clever people, and they break things down into smaller and smaller pieces. But they still, to this day, top-class academics and teachers like Andrew Parfman at the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. Talk about firmness, commodity, delight. Big up to Vitruvius, out of this quest for firmness, commodity, and delight, great buildings are created. Great buildings are created. Great spaces are experienced, and that last beautiful thing about architecture, it lasts for a very long time, giving delight to people in a firm way, or as they're experiencing the commodity of watching a play or a choir. Fantastic. But where is the author in this Venn diagram of firmness, commodity, and delight? And what appeals to me perhaps about Ikigai is it places the author in whatever you're doing, building a ship or digging a garden or writing a poem or whatever your life is. What is your personal experience of it? And Ikigai talks to this. Ikigai is another Venn diagram. It speaks to that magic place in the center. Some of you would have heard of this idea, but would it be possible to live a life in which you do things that you're good at, that the world needs, that you can get paid for, and at the same time, this is what you love? Now, the great advantage that architects have over many other disciplines and professions and crafts and trades is that this is actually possible. I think with many, it's actually with many occupations, this is not possible. I don't think it's possible for a prison guard to very easily experience Ikigai, maybe not impossibly. But I think the Ikigai being a Japanese concept shouldn't be strange to us, because really in the East, India, China, Japan, Korea, they've been at this for quite a lot longer than the Western culture that I certainly come from, and most of the culture of the architectural profession, as I've known, seems to come out of this Western culture. And the Eastern cultures have just been at it for a lot longer, and ideas and concepts and ways of thinking like Ikigai could naturally be found, or could more readily, I would guess. It's not surprising that they're more readily found in these Eastern cultures, because the way in which we often, in my cultural realm, speak about this is the kind of closer we get to it is this work-life balance. Yeah, you work hard and then you hate it, but you get a break, and on the weekend you do fun stuff. You go fishing, or you watch rugby, or you Disneyland, or whatever. Ikigai is different to that. It doesn't speak about a work-life balance. It just speaks about your work is your life, and your life is your work, and out of that comes your joy. Out of that comes your satisfaction. Not an avoidance of your work life in order to escape to leisure. So Ikigai is very different to the way in which I would have perhaps been brought up to understand that our work life is. Um, it's really about, at the center, finding a personal joy somewhere in what you do, not escaping from what you do in order to find it. Because Ikigai places yourself at the center. So I want to talk unapologetically, therefore, about myself. We are trained and we are brought up to even use a language where we pretend that I does not exist. And we will find people stumbling in their language, and they say one went to the shop and bought one's groceries, and putting them into one's grocery cart, and then swiping one's credit card as one walked past the um, the cashier. But no, I am talking to you about my life and my profession. And this is me, this little guy on the roof with my grandfather and my uncle. This is my father. This is where I come from. He's a. This is in the years before the build up to the Angolan border war, and this is me with my children. I've got 3 beautiful children. It's part of who I am, and the I that is talking to you here is this person. And he's not absent from the Venn diagram. There's me, a decorated veteran of the Angolan border war. There's me there. It's I. This is who he's talking to. It's not a neutral, objective talk. This is a subjective talk from a guy that lives in a little cottage, whose beautiful dog Tank died just the Monday before last. Tried to resuscitate him. I thought he had a heart attack. I think he had a heart attack or something. But I'm a real person, and each of us watching this talk are real people, real subjective people trying their best to be in a profession, trying their best to live out their lives, trying their best to have an occupation. So Ikigai, the idea of Ikigai appeals to me in that way, in that it is it's a filter, a layer through which we can look at the world, which is not often part of our education. And that feeling, that sense of Ikigai, that it feels, oh, this feels right. I'm sure it has some evolutionary history from way back, when we were all hunter-gatherers. We had to somehow keep going. We had to somehow love what we were doing while making something valuable, while changing the world, while being good at it, whether it was sharpening a spear or skinning a gazelle or whatever. But I suppose those that didn't have the genes that were able to develop a joy and a passion and a reason for being, maybe they didn't pass their genes on. So it comes way back, I would guess, evolved from the ancient times. So let's see. Ikigai. So where does all this stuff that we do as architects in our profession and Vitruvius, where does that Venn diagram fit? Is it a different story? No, it's not a different story. It's actually everything that Vitruvius talks about is in this quadrant of the Venn diagram. Remember, this is the what you are good at quadrant. So all of that fits in there. It's not separate to it. It's just that that is one of the pieces of the pie. All of the work that is done among architects, teaching each other, talking to each other, supporting each other, helping each other, admonishing each other, praising each other, all of that stuff fits into this thing about how do we become better at what we're good at. Great work that these kinds of groups do. I'm just pointing out, though, that ideas like a search for meaning, in other words, what the world needs, Viktor Frankl said the world needs a world full of people that are searching for their meaning. Great. But that fits into this quadrant here. That doesn't talk to what you can get paid for. That doesn't talk to what you love. Maybe, kind of. It doesn't talk to what you're good at. It talks to meaning. It's one of the places. Architects, we also do some work sometimes that makes the world a better place. We put solar panels on our building, whatever. We're very fortunate to have a profession where we can address one or two, and we can get paid for some of our stuff very often. And very often it's work that we do that we love. But not all of it, not all the time. And if I look back at my short career, there have been some projects that are small and that I really love doing, and some that are huge that I really hated. I got paid more for this project than this little project, but I didn't enjoy doing it. So what then would be the point? We worked on this huge stadium project that I spoke about in the beginning. It was terrible every day. It went on for years. We started in 2006 and eventually finished in 2010 after the Confederations Cup was done and the World Cup was eventually done. But every day was a fight and conflict and backstabbing and covering your ass. Horrible. Working late night here with my colleague Graham, writing letters to the project manager explaining why this didn't happen or why this needs to happen, or apologizing for that, or begging for forgiveness here, or explaining ourselves there. Horrible stuff. Not work that I would love, and certainly not work that I believe changed the world. Yes, I got paid for it. So and the architectural profession, yeah, there are things that it's really, really nice. If you win a prize, if you win an award, it's really nice to stand up on the stage. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not nice to stand up on the stage and have people clap for you. Of course it's nice, it's fantastic. But can you hold your breath doing miserable work all the other time just to hope that every few years somebody's going to give you an award and they're going to clap for you on stage? No, it's got to be more than that. And we've done a whole lot of very nice buildings that we've received awards for, and it's always been nice to receive the award and people saying, but some of those very buildings that we won awards for were really, really horrible. Didn't make money, so we didn't get paid for them. What I'm saying is we spent more on employing people to work on them than what we would have got paid in some cases. In some cases, it was just miserable work. In some cases, it really didn't change the world. So Ikigai was missing from all of that. And I've also had the experience of my office being bigger and smaller. At one stage, we had lots of people, 28 people working here in the Port Elizabeth office. Did that bring us closer to, did that bring, not us, you see, I'm tempted to say us, did that bring me closer to Ikigai or further from Ikigai? No, it was miserable having all of these people to report to and doing quarterly appraisals and going to apologize to my clients when we got it wrong, every now and again standing up on the stage when I got it right, when we got it right. So also the size of your office, in my experience, doesn't bring you any closer or further away from Ikigai. It's kind of neutral to the question. Sometimes we get to do good work that kind of changes the world, makes the world a better place. Yeah, that's nice. But even there, if you're doing that kind of work and you're not really good at it, you're going to be anxious all the time, or you don't get paid for it. That doesn't really work. So Ikigai, yeah. I don't know. I'm not here to tell you the answer to any of these questions. I'm just here to kind of ramble on and reflect and observe. I don't think we observe enough. I think we are too quick to reach conclusions. I'm just observing my own profession through the lens and the filter of Ikigai. And perhaps what I'm doing is encouraging you to look at your career through the filter of Ikigai. Hopefully, to maybe to make some small change to improve your situation a bit. It's very different if you are a outlier, if you're brilliant, if you really are Frank Lloyd Wright. This is him, age 94, at his desk, and that really kept him going. There's no ennui for him because, he really was breaking new ground. So he loved what he was doing. He got paid a lot for it. He was changing the world, at least the world of architecture, and he was very good at what he did. So these are often the examples that we look out for, but we know that only a very, very, very small percentage of 1% of people can ever be lucky enough to be in that zone. Very few Elon Musks in the world. And these are the people we hold up as our heroes and our role models. But most of us are not going to be that. Most of us are going to be stuck in ordinary offices, doing quite ordinary work, raising quite ordinary children, in quite ordinary towns like Gqeberha, like where we are now. And the challenge to find Ikigai in this environment is perhaps a lot greater than what Elon Musk, with all his genius, wouldn't struggle. He wouldn't struggle as much at all. But I do find it sometimes. I can tell you, when I'm on site and the smell of the timber and the wind blowing in my ears and out there and the sun beating, yeah. I do find that feeling of, wow, I'm in a zone, I'm in a flow state. I love what I'm doing. Oh shit, and I'm getting paid for it. Wow. And I'm actually quite good at this. And yeah, I'm actually changing the world a bit. So I have had those moments. Doing good work, enjoying it, forgetting the flow, the passage of time. I'm working with my cookies, I'm working with my pen, and time flies. I'm just like in this zone. It does happen. And I think maybe my job is to just observe those and to recognize them and to try to recreate the set of circumstance that arose to that. Maybe that's our job. Or those of us listening to this talk, maybe that's what we've got to do. And finding those and saying, yes, that works for me. And it's different things. But those 4 ingredients, I believe, do need to be there. We need to be good at it. We need to somehow allow it to make money for us, because otherwise we can't keep doing it. And somehow it's nice if it could change the world in some small little way, make the world a better place. Something we love, this mysterious thing that we love that gets us into a flow state that allows us to flow and just keep doing it without realizing, oh shit, I've been doing it forever. Yeah, that's all I've got to say. This talk isn't going to teach you anything. It isn't going to give you a CBD point. It isn't going to be for any other reason other than to just maybe entertain you with the sound of my voice rambling on with something that you may have thought about, that you may have been playing with yourself. And I appreciate you listening to this. And chat in the comments if you have something that you think you'd like to contribute. Thanks very much. Cheerio.